hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. All right. When you pop on, if you could say hello, that would be awesome. So that I can see who's here. I have one person here. Who else is here? Well, it's Miss Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Hello, hello. Hola. Pal's here. Hey, Lena. What's up? Lena, I gotta show you what I'm working on. Can you see? Are you here? Right? Private lessons just for you, Carrie. Lena, you want to see what I'm working on? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love, love, love. That greeting farm paper is so cute. Or not greeting farm, Doodlebug. Doodlebug down on the farm. All right. I'm drinking coffee. Carrie, you drinking coffee with me? See, there's proof how dark I like my coffee. All right. We are going to be coloring these little Gorjuss girls. This is actually Gorjuss Girl number 54, Sweetheart. Naomi, hi Naomi, how are you? This is Gorjuss Girl number 54, Sweetheart. And do you two girls have any Gorjuss Girls? Oh, Mio energy. That's funny. Do you girls have any Gorjuss Girls stamps? Oh my gosh. Some of these things on the walkie-talkie post are hilarious. Hilarious. Super funny. Oh, coloring an orchid. I have none yet. Okay, so Carrie, I'm going to show this to you because these are so adorable. These are the minis and they're all numbered. So you can see right there, this one's number 54 so that you can collect them. You don't have anybody, you always admire them. See, that's how I was. I didn't have any, and then Kelly and I came up with this idea to do like a series where we color a bunch of these because they're all numbered, so we can go through and color a bunch of these. The great thing is these are really economical. They're less than $3, I think. So, I mean, for a stamp, that's fantastic, and the quality of stamp is amazing. So, I love that they're numbered so that you can remember which ones you got and which ones you don't have. Linda, you do? Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So, when you open up this little stamp, you pull out, they're in these super nice, thick plastic cases too. But, so you pull this part out, and there's a little, like, trading card for each one, so like a little note card, and they're so cute. I use these for like bookmarks and stuff, but if you were to put these in like a binder, then you can put this in like the little card slot, and then you can put this stamp in there so that you can, you know, store them all in the same place. So really cute little card. And then the stamp itself is on this clear plastic, of course. And when you pull it off, it's super tacky so that you can use like your Misty or your acrylic block or whatever. And then this side is a deep etched red rubber stamp. So super, super, super nice, super high quality, just gorgeous little stamps. I guess that's why they call them gorgeous. Don't mind me. I'm lame. I'm cheesy. It's okay. You guys know this about me. You have number 6. I have I think exactly 6 of these. Nope, like 7 of these. So this is number 54. Her name is Sweetheart. So that's what we're going to be coloring today. I have number 22. And oh, she's so cute. Pulling on your heartstrings. She's adorable. I have number 2, which is New Heights. I love this one because I'm a reader. I have, this one's really, really hard to find. This is number 38, The Runaway. I love this one. This is what we're going to color next week, I think. This is called Piracy. She's number 49, Piracy. So if you want to snatch her up this week, I believe this is what we're going to be coloring next week. I just adore her. She is so stinking cute. This one is The Dreamer, number 58. She is so cute with that little fox there and her little top hat. Can't wait to color her. And this one is number 45, Fly Away With Me, and we'll be doing her really, really soon too. So if you wanted to order and you were looking for what we're going to do, these are the next 3 that we're going to do. I don't know what order we're going to have them in, but these are the next 3 that we're going to do. So Fly Away With Me, Piracy, and The Dreamer. These 3 are going to be the next 3 coloring series that we're going to do. So there's a little heads up there. You'll want to catch those. You'll want to order them from the store right quick. All right. Yeah, we are going to do a little bit of no-line coloring. Amazing. I'm happy to explore this craft being a newbie. You're going to fit right in, Carrie. Don't you worry. The thing I love about these is since they're numbered, it totally feeds into my gotta have it all, my full set syndrome. We all know I have, full set syndrome. So the fact that these are numbered really helps me keep track of my full set syndrome. Just like my Copics. This is my Copic chart, so you can see I'm filling it in finally. So we're going to go with full set syndrome on my Copics. Don't mind me, it's just going to happen. All right, so let's start off with skin tone. I'm actually going to do a different skin tone for you guys today. I know that everybody is used to the tried and true skin tone that we all know and love. But I think we're going to go a little bit different today. Reason being is I feel like the Gorjuss Girls kind of have a little bit of a vintage feel for them. So even though I do color in bold, bright colors, I tend to fade my skin tone out just a little bit when I do stuff that happens to be a little bit more antique or something. So I have my E000 and my E00. These are my 2 trusties. I will probably always have these in my skin tone. Then I have E21, which I have a love-hate relationship with, and you will see why. It tends to get tacky for me for some reason, so I just filled this one up, and hopefully it doesn't get tacky on me. E11, and then I have this one, V95 is a new color that I'm using as a shadow color. A lot of the times I use E04 and a lot of the times I use RV95. This has more of a purplish tinge to it, so it has a little more shadow. It's a little bit darker, it's a little bit scarier, but you'll see when you blend it with the E11 and the E21, it tends to fade out really fast, and so I find it really nice to work with. So, let me move these stamps over here. Sorry to put my arm in front of your face. Let's get a drink of coffee and let's get going. I have both no lines coloring here and black line. What I use for my black line is Memento Tuxedo Black, and that's what I use for this. I stamp and it's pretty much good to go right away. I know a lot of people are having a hard time finding the Memento Tuxedo Black, so there is lots of other inks that you can use for this. I know a lot of people right now are using archival ink or are trying to use archival ink. It works with Copics, but you have to make sure that it's dry. So a lot of times when I use archival ink, I will stamp one day and I'll just set it aside and then I'll come back the next day and then color. So just be careful if you're using archival ink. You might want to heat set it or something along those lines, because if you don't, it will start to smear with the Copics. Then I used, for my no lines coloring, I used Memento Desert Sand. This is actually available for you in the store right now. So if you would like to get into no lines coloring, I highly suggest this one. There's a couple of other pigment inks that I will use for no lines coloring, but I found this one to be the best. There's a lot of people will use a pink based one. This is a tan based, as you can tell it's tan. A lot of people will use a pink base or even a gray. I find that I like the tan. I wish this were like a half a shade lighter and I would be a really happy little duck. But for now, this is the best that I have found out there for doing what I need it to do. Hold on, I'm looking through my markers behind me because I need my cheek color. When I do things like this that have open faces, I like to add R20 to the cheeks just for a little bit of definition, so I was pulling out that marker. All right, so we're going to kind of color these side by side so you guys can see the difference in lines versus no lines, and I hope that this will help you guys, a couple of you guys that are afraid to try no lines or are just starting out on no lines and you're trying to, you know, kind of get your feet wet and figure out where you're at in the whole no lines scenario. So we're going to start by coloring the lines, the lined one. So see if I can set that over there. All right, so I'm just going to go in and put one coat of my E000 all the way across her face. The reason I'm doing this is to be able to get the paper just a little bit, I hate to say wet because that's not really the word that I want. And I don't want to say saturated either because you really don't want to saturate your paper. But you want to add a little bit of moisture to the paper and it sets your base for being able to blend. So then from there, I jump all the way to my darkest marker. This is that V95. And I'm going to look at where the sun, if the sun were to hit her, where would the shadows appear on her face? So I know that her hair would cast a shadow on her face and it would probably add this little bit of corner. And I rotate my paper, so please, please, please always feel free to rotate your paper and do what is comfortable for you. When your arm is more comfortable, your blending's going to turn out better, your lines are going to turn out better, everything's just going to turn out better. So don't feel like you have to color in one direction or another. I always color in multiple directions, and I rotate my paper a lot. So I know that her neck is going to cast a shadow, and I know that her dress is going to cast a shadow. So yes, it's going to make her neck look really dark, but don't worry, we will blend that out. Okay, now I'm headed into my E11, and you'll see I like to work fairly quickly. My E11, I have a bullet nib on. You'll notice it's a different nib. These were released by Copic not all that long ago, and I'm kind of in a love-hate relationship with them too. I'm not sure if I love them or if I hate them. Jury's still out. I think on my E11 they work great, but I think on my other markers I'm not so happy with them. But we'll see. I also feel like the nib breaks down really quickly too with these. I like my brush nibs, but for some reason with the markers that tend to stay really tacky, like E11 or E21, the bullet nibs are helpful in keeping them from being tacky. But nothing replaces that good old brush nib that Copic is known for. You'll also notice me a lot of times taking both caps off. You have a ton of them. You've yet to try no line coloring. Oh no, let's do this. Okay, so you'll notice on a lot of markers I will take both caps off. The reason being is, I know you've heard me say this and some of you are probably tired of me saying this, but that's okay, you're gonna hear it again. The reason I do it is because it equalizes the pressure in the barrel of your marker. So if your marker is getting ready to do something bad, like drop a big old drip of ink on your cutely colored picture, then the equalized pressure will prevent it from doing that. So you always, if there's any chance that your marker might decide that it wants to do that, I suggest taking both caps off. And especially if you refill your markers, they tend to do that as well. So this is my E00, and you'll see with each one of these, I'm kind of going back over to blend out the color that I've already done, and then adding more. Okay, and then I'm back to where I started with my E000. Okay, now with that, like I said, I like to go into my R20. And with my R20, I'm just going to add a little bit of structure to the cheeks. And I'm going to use like moon-shaped brush strokes to go in and give her like little pink cheeks. And then I'm going to go with my E000 and kind of blend those out. Okay, so there's her sweet little face. Now I'm going to do her arms. And you'll notice that I didn't do her arms at the same time as I did her face, mainly because I like to work in small areas so that my paper doesn't dry out in between. So I do definitely, yeah, didn't take off both caps. So yeah, I definitely work in small areas so that my paper doesn't dry out in between. And I find that I get better results that way. If your paper dries out, you start to lose your capability of blending. And that is no fun at all. Into my E11. And this is my E21. Now, a lot of people will go back in and they will do a double coat or a second coat. I do sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It depends on how I'm feeling or how it turns out. I personally like the blend that I achieved with this one, so I'm not going to go in and do a double coat. Also, I'm pretty heavy-handed, and if I do a double coat, I tend to oversaturate my paper. So you'll see how saturated that is. If I were to do a double coat, that paper would be really, really, really saturated, and I would start to get blotches, and I do not want to get blotchy skin. All right, so that is lined coloring. Now, I'm going to show you the no lines coloring, and I'm going to tell you it's pretty close to being the exact same thing. So, the way this works is the whole point of no lines coloring is that you want it to appear that it's more like a photograph. This is a little bit more cartoonish because it's, you know, it's fully outlined, it's boldly outlined. But with this, the whole point of no lines coloring is that you don't want to go over it and make a line. If I were to just take my shadow color here and go over the whole thing, that would pretty much negate the point of needing that no lines coloring whole scenario. So what I'm going to show you is pretty much the exact same as this, but you're doing it with quote unquote no lines. So again, I'm just going to go over this face. With my E000, and I'm going to put a nice coat on it, same as I did the other one. And I'm I'm just doing this comparison side by side because I want you to see that you don't have to be afraid of no lines coloring. It's really, really, really similar. And it's all in your head, people. It's all in your head. Yay! Hi, Denise. How are you? Okay, so with the no lines, just like we did with this one, we're going to saturate the paper, and not super saturate it, but just put one nice coat across it. And then we're going to go in the same way that we did with those shadows. So I'm using my V95, and I'm going in with this shadow color, and I'm doing a nice thin line right where her hair was, or is. And again, I rotate my paper a lot so that my wrist is comfortable. And I like to curve right here just because I feel like that's what would happen in real life. Nice smooth line. Now, this looks really scary, right? It looks super bold. It looks super bright. It's, not necessarily bright, but you know, that's a really deep shadow. And that's okay. Because we're gonna blend it. Sorry, I get all quiet when I concentrate. All right. Then I go into my E11 just as I did before. And I'm going to work just at the edge of this line, and I'm going to work on blending it out. Am I on screen? Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't like going off the screen. Now you'll see with this that I'm not just copying the artist drawn lines there, that I'm actually stopping so that she's not like fully outlined. I need my brush nib for this. All right. So you'll see in her face that it's not just outlined. There's, you know, space in between there. And the point is because you want to play with the eye and you want the eye to think that it's a 3D type image. So that's why you want to make this, and this E21 is already blotchy. I'm telling you, I have a love-hate relationship. This is a different E21. Let's see if it does better. Yes, I have more than one E21. And again, just the same technique over and over. Now I'm going to go to my E00. And then I'm going to go to my E000. Okay, and then I'm going to add my R20 into her cheeks, just like I did before. And I know probably on camera you can't see her eyes. They're still there. And then this is my E000, again, just to blend out those cheeks. Now, it looks totally different because she has black lines and she doesn't. And when you get into coloring the dress and stuff, you'll see that they will start to look more similar. But coloring is a process and you can't give up right at the beginning. The paper is Copic Express It paper. That's what I like to use. And then the ink that I'm coloring with is Memento. This is Desert Sand and this is Tuxedo Black. Okay, so this is my V95. And I just go in here and add that shadow in. And I just try to be really careful and only use like the very, very tip of the nib there because it's such a fine space. I want to be as precise as possible with my marker because I still want to use that full spectrum of colors so that her skin tones match, but I don't want to, you know, fill the whole space right away. Can you guys hear my stomach growling? It feels like it's talking very, very, very. Of course. Maybe someday, Dee Dee. Aww. Yes, just start collecting them one at a time. I just order one at a time whenever I'm ordering something else. Just start ordering one at a time from the store, and then pretty soon you'll have, you know, a skin blend. So I would start ordering, you know, 1 or 2 in the skin blend, and then you'll be able to replace your other marker skin blend. And then you can start ordering, you know, a hair blend. Or if you look back, I did a video, it's on our YouTube channel, or it's on this Facebook page, and I colored an entire, what was it? What stamp was it? Oh, it was a La La Land stamp. I colored an entire La La Land stamp with just a skin blend and then 5 other markers. So the whole thing was like sepia tones. So just to show you, you don't have to have a ton of markers in order to color. All right, ladies, now we're going to color these dresses. So, tell me, what color of dress would you like? Blue, pink, green, aquamarine, ha 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 ha. We could do red, we could do teal, we could do, what color of dress do you think? We could do black. What are you guys interested in? What color of dress? Denise, are you still here with me? What color of dress, hun? Oh, my mama's here. Mom, what color of dress? Blue. Should we do like a dark blue or like a baby blue? What should we do? What should we do? All right. So, I will show you how I use my Copic chart. So you can see, I'm thinking, I gotta take it out of this sheet because it's too reflective. All right, so blues. What if we did, a dark blue? Okay, I'm totally down with that. So let's start with a B29. Let's go with something pretty dark here for our shadow. B29. And then I need sort of a mid-tone, so something in here. I'm gonna go with B18 actually. I feel like that's a good step. And then I want to hit B26 here because see how it's lighter than B18? It's a good next step. If I can find it, B26, there it is. And then I want to jump up, so I don't have anything in here, so I'm going to jump up to this B24 and go fairly light. And then I want my highlight to be like a stark contrast. So I'm going to go with B21 as my highlight. B21. All right. So that's how I choose colors, just in case you were wondering. And I have my color blend right here. All right. So this is how we're going to color her dress. what's going to happen is we're going to start with our shadow color, our darkest blue, and we're going to go in and do all of the cast shadows, and then I'm going to show you how to make a little bit more interest. So excuse me, I have the hiccups. I got to push these off camera so you can see the girl. All right, so with B29, and again, I take off both tips to equalize the pressure so that I don't get big blobs of ink. So her dress is a fairly big open space, so I'm actually going to work below her belt and then above her belt, because otherwise I feel like it'll dry out in between. So we're going to start with everything above the belt, as odd as that sounds. So I know that her sleeve is going to leave a shadow on her cuff, and I know that her into her armpit here is going to be within shadow. I also know that her little tuft of hair here, her little strand of hair, is going to be leaving a shadow, as well as I know that her head will leave a shadow on her shoulder. I know that the front here is going to have a tiny bit of shadow again from her head, and then I'm just going to duplicate that on the other side. Now you'll see it's not necessarily rocket science, and I know that she has a pattern on her dress that I am not trying to work around. I'll probably go in later with like some Nuvo drops or something like that and add that pattern back in, or just a black marker and add some more of that pattern back in. She does have buttons here, so I'm going to, I know that her belt will leave, you know, some sort of a shadow where the material kind of goes under. And then I know that these buttons will leave a little bit of a shadow. All right, so that's my darkest color. That's my B29. Now I'm just going to go over all of that with my B18. And add to it a little bit more, because the whole point here is that we're stair-stepping down with these colors. And that's how you create a blend. Is you want to take your colors and sort of stair-step down with them so that they go from darkest to lightest and they blend out smoothly. Again, I have to turn her. I hope my big old head doesn't get in the way. I like to basically hug my paper when I color, so, you know, that's a thing. Okay, so now I'm headed into B26. And same thing, just continuing on with my color blend, blending it out, stair-stepping it down. The middle color of your blend, I always choose an odd number of markers because the middle color of your blend is going to be what your quote-unquote true color is, meaning that it's not in shadow, it's also not in highlight. It's the true color of whatever the garment or skin or anything is. So your middle color is always going to be a little bit thicker than everything else because that is the true color of the garment. In this case, the garment, the dress. B24. You guys are being so quiet. Again, just stair-stepping down, and I go into what I've already colored with it in order to blend. You want to have that smooth color and not a line, so you're kind of mixing these colors a little bit. Okay. And now into my very lightest color, which is my highlight. which is B21. And again, I kind of mix these out just a little bit, push that other ink down into the shadow area, and make sure that this tone of blue is in everything. All right. So there's the top part of her dress. Drink of coffee. Now we're gonna get into the fun part. I love doing this part because this is where the stamp, I think, really starts to come to life. And this is where you can have a little bit, hi Amy, you can have a little bit of artistic liberty into what she comes out looking like. So this dress could be one solid where it just goes like this, or it could have waves in it, like where her legs are and stuff. And I think that that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna add a little bit of dimension into her dress. So again, I'm going to start up here where her belt is, and I'm going to say that her belt is going to add a little bit of shadow here to her skirt. So this is the easy part. We're just going to do the same thing we did on the upper part of the dress and add a little bit of shadow here. Amy, you gotta talk. Everybody's being so quiet. It's freaking me out. Start singing to me. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm actually going to go, okay, her dress is going to indent here because it would go over her legs. So I'm gonna draw where the shadow would be in that indent. And I actually kind of draw it a little bit like a triangle because the light would go in and out of it. Same thing here where her leg is. And again over here where this leg is. Now, I don't want them entirely symmetrical, just for the pure fact that it's material, and material tends to move and flow. I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow to the corner of her dress because that would be turning away from the light. All right, so that's my darkest color. Then I'm gonna go in with my B18, and I'm gonna do essentially the same thing, is I'm just gonna go over the top of all of this. So I'm going to work on my blend, blending it or extending it just a little bit further. Just a little bit further down. Then I'm going to take everything that I put in shadow here and extend it out to put light on either side of those. And these are gonna end up being, you know, kind of like pleats in her dress. And you'll notice that I'm rotating the paper a whole bunch because I want to keep my pen angle to what's comfortable for my wrist so that I can get these nice light brush strokes. So that I don't end up oversaturating the paper. Because, like I said, I always have a huge problem with oversaturating the paper. I color very heavy-handed. That's why I tend to gravitate towards the Copic Expressive paper, because it can take a lot of layers. So it can handle a heavy-handed colorer like me. All right, so that's my second color. The darn phone ring. Amy, I said that you have to talk because everybody's being super quiet. It's freaking me out, man. This is B26, and I'm gonna go in and again, just extend further, nice light brush strokes, and start closing the gaps on some of this. Now again, this is my middle color, so this is the true color of what the garment is, but I'm not extending it a ton. I want you to see that this is the real color of the garment, but not enough to get away in the way of my dimension and highlights, because that's what I'm working so hard here to do, is to get those dimensions and highlights. Okay, there's that. Now we're gonna hit our B24. They must be, or something. It's awful quiet. Somebody's got to sing a song or something. B24, and again, just extending this out. You want to blend with the previous color, so you want to make sure that that line disappears. And you'll notice as I go further and further out, I get a little less careful about where I'm going. That's just my coloring technique. Don't mind me. If you're not comfortable with that and you want to be more precise, then go ahead. It's all familiarity with your markers, and you know, where your comfort level is with your markers. Okay, and I've left room for highlight. So that's where this B21 comes in. This is my highlight color. Ooh, this marker is really juicy. I'm getting a little bit of pooling here. It's mesmerizing. I don't know about all that noise. Okay, so sometimes I'll notice on my coloring that I'm not particularly happy with where the blend is. So I'll do a little bit of tip-to-tip coloring to kind of bridge the gap between the two colors. And I'm just picking up a little bit of pigment from this darker marker to sort of bridge the gap where some of these lines are a little bit too noticeable for my taste. Everybody colors different. So if those lines are great for you, then they're totally great for you. If they're not, then this is an idea that you can use. Tip-to-tip blending is always a great plan. All right, just make sure you put the right tips back on the right markers, because then otherwise you're in a world of hurt. All right, so now see, that's right, Amy? This is how it looks. There's the back. So there is the dress. Okay, coffee, good. Now, we're going to go through the same process, and we're going to do it no lines. The reason I'm doing these side by side is so that you can see that no lines really isn't all that scary. It's really just the exact same method over and over. I mean, you saw how I didn't go all the way down the lines and trace the lines. I know a lot of people get scared when the lines aren't there, but they really are. It's really just the exact same thing. These lines are still there. You're just trying to make them disappear. So, thanks, Denise. Had to walk away. We'll be watching the replay. Oh, thanks, Carrie. All right. So, we're going to do the exact same thing. In all honesty, we're going to go with the upper part of her dress, And I just want to show you guys that it's literally the same as doing with the coloring with the black lines. Amy, you do a lot of no lines coloring too, right? So I mean, it's fairly similar, isn't it, for you as well? I do so much no lines coloring now that I feel like coloring with black lines is kind of foreign to me. It's a little bit weird for me to color with black lines now. And again, I'm just adding shadows where I know the shadows would be. You're working on some no lines coloring right now? Woo woo! B18. Feel like I'm calling bingo. B18. B18. All right. And again, I'm just extending on that shadow that I already laid in there. Blending it out so that it's nice and smooth. Around those buttons. That always reminds me, whenever I say buttons, it reminds me of Animaniacs and the little girl that has the dog in the elevator. Buttons, oh buttons. I wonder if any of you remember the Animaniacs and the dog. Once you get the hang, the disappearing lines results. Yes. And I think that it's all a mind thing. That you go, oh my gosh, where are the lines? Oh my gosh, they're disappearing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And really, it's not an oh my gosh thing. Because that's what you're trying to achieve, is you're trying to make those lines disappear. So I think that the more you do it, and the more you practice, and the more familiar you are with your markers, the easier the no lines thing gets, because it becomes less scary. And my biggest thing when I first started no lines is like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. What if I ruin it? And then you come to the realization that it's just markers and paper, and you can stamp another one. Hello, nurse. I take the top off of both ends because it equalizes the pressure within the barrel. And so if you have a marker that's really juicy and tries to drip on your project, taking off both ends will prevent that from happening. So if you take off both ends, it will equalize the pressure within the barrel of the marker and prevent that big drip of ink from going on. Also, if you ever fly with your markers, before you open them to color, take both caps off and let them sit for like a minute so that you can re-equalize the pressure within them as well. Otherwise, you will also get those big drips to happen. As soon as your marker touches the paper, you will get one big massive drip because of the pressure from the airplane. Will mess with the pressure inside of your marker. Yeah, of course. Of course. All right, so same thing. I'm back to my B29 and we're gonna go into these shadows again. It's fun to see a side-by-side comparison. I don't often do the same stamp side-by-side, or ever for that matter, with a no lines and with lines. So it's kind of fun to see how different they do look, even though you're using the same technique on it. So again, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make this skirt pleated. I just think it adds a little bit more depth to it than having a big open space. And of course, every time you color, it's gonna come out slightly different. I mean, we are not machines, so we're not gonna be able to carbon copy the same thing. But you can get it fairly similar. So you'll see it start to take shape again. And you'll see I do work fairly quickly. Amy, do you color like as fast as I do or as slow as I do? I don't know what the operative word is here. I've had some people tell me that I color really fast, but then I've had some people that are like, oh my gosh, it takes you forever to color. So I'm just wondering how, in compared to your coloring, do I do as far as, you know, I like to work fairly quickly, I think, because I like to blend so much, and maybe I'm not super good at blending, and so that's why I have to work while the ink's still wet. All right. Thanks, Denise. Have a wonderful outside adventure. Oops. It's such nice weather. I think that when I'm done here, we're gonna go take the doggies out for a walk. I better not say that too loud or they'll be at my door barking. Okay, so again, just blending, extending these pleats up. Super quiet. I can't even hear my boys. They're being super quiet. More detailed stamps do take a lot longer. I can whip through a mini Gorjuss in about 35 minutes. Then I'm about on par with you then. Annie stamps take forever, huh? There's certain stamps out there that do take a long time to color. And some of them are like a lack of detail that makes it so that it takes a long time to color because you're adding so much of your own detail. Like I know that, is it Capricorn from Stampin' Bella takes me forever to color because I add so many pleats to her dress, just like I'm doing here, but a lot more. So that one takes me forever to color because I spend a lot of time adding to her dress. But then, like, Greeting Farm and CC Design, I feel like they don't take me quite as long to color because they are kind of, they're not super detailed, but, like, the details that need to be there are there. So you're not adding a whole bunch of your own detail. And they have nice big open spaces to color. And I love that. Especially if you're a beginner, because those stamps are so forgiving to whatever skill level you're at. Because it's just easier. I don't know why. Amy, help me out here. Why are they so forgiving? There's big open spaces, so it helps you to improve. So when you first start, they're not quite as daunting to look at, and so you're like, okay, I can color this. And then as you get better and better and more familiar with your markers, I think that you start seeing opportunities to add things in or to blend things better or anything like that. So I think that's part of why I love CC Designs and Greeting Farm stamps, because they both kind of have that same capability. These Gorjuss Girls are pretty good with that too, that they have nice spaces that you can color. But then as you get better and better with your markers, you can add more and more to them. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Amy, exactly. And they're fun. I mean, I think I just have so much fun with like the little cutesy images. And I think my coloring style is very different than a lot of people's. I color very bold, bright colors. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that. Again, I'm doing tip to tip blending with my B24 and my B21. You're not going to ruin your markers to do this. But it's just going to soften that transition. But that's why I wanted to do a series on the Gorjuss Girls, because I feel like they're really good for any skill level. If you're just starting out, they're super cute and they're super fun to get going with because they have enough detail. But then if you're an advanced colorist, I feel like there's opportunity to add your own detail as well. All right. So there is her dress. I need more coffee. My coffee's starting to get like tepid. I'm gonna do the bows in her hair right quick. So again, I'm just gonna go in with my darkest marker. I'm gonna look for where there would be shadows and add that tiny bit of shadow in there. And since there's such a small space, I'm gonna go ahead and do all 4 of them at once. The only thing that is going to be different here is with the no lines, you need to be really careful on something that's this small that you don't lose the dimension in it. So you're not going to be able to go full spectrum with this. I just skipped my B18 marker in my color blend, and I'm going to go to B26. It'll be really hard to go full spectrum in this small of a space. And with the no lines, you're going to want to be really careful that you keep the dimension of the bow and you don't lose that. So you want to pay attention to where the lines are and stay in the lines. And then I'm going to go in with my B12. So I skipped my B24 and I'm going to go in. Did I say B12? I meant B21. I skipped my B24. So I'm only using 3 markers for this color blend. Just because the space, again, is so tiny to try to get into. And I don't want to overdo it. I usually color the hair before I would color the hair accessories, but hey, we're winging it today. All right, ladies, so what color of hair should our sweet little girl have? Should she be a brunette? I kind of think she should be a brunette, or maybe a raven-haired beauty. What do you think? Black hair, brown hair, purple hair, pink hair. What color hair do you guys think she should have? There's 5 of you here. Speak up. Speak up. What color hair? Okay, I will do blonde. Amy, dang you. Blonde is so hard for me to do. I can never find like a good blonde. So I'm going to go back to my color chart here. So for blonde, I'm going to want to be kind of, you know, in this general area. I want to go from where the browns hit into the yellows. So I'm going to choose my shadow color, and I think my shadow color is going to be an E35. So I'm going to find my E35, hopefully. Okay. Then I'm going to want to jump over to something a little bit lighter, but yet still, I think I'm just going to hit E34. E34, okay. Then I want to start to lean towards a little bit more yellow. So I want to come down here into something that's slightly more yellow, but is a tone off of this. So I'm actually going to hit my YR12, which stands for yellow red. YR12. Where are you? I have 2 YR21s. That is crazy. Why can I not find it? I'm looking. YR14, YR15. That's so weird. I can't find it, so. Amy, did you steal my YR? Oh, there it is. I found it. Yay! I was gonna blame you, Amy. Yes. YR31. Yeah, I guess I could have gone that way. Oh, you want that to be my next color? I think it should be my next color. That's actually where I was gonna go. And then I like to add a tad more yellow, so I'm actually gonna pop down here into my Y13. So this is my current blonde blend. I know some people don't like to have that bright yellow. I use it just barely in the highlight, but you will see. Okay, so yes, the dark lines in the hair in this as opposed to this will make a huge difference when you're looking at this. So bear with me. We're gonna get rolling on this, okay? So I'm gonna start with my E35. Now, a lot of people subscribe to a lot of different ways of how to do hair. I like to go in again and find my shadows. Some people will work light to dark, when they do hair so that they do not wash out the strands of hair or blend out the strands of hair. Me, I still go dark to light. So, but I used it anyways. So I'm going to go in, this is my shadow color. Some people like to do the hair strands towards them. Some people like to do them away. I'm kind of ambidextrous in that scenario, and I like to do them both ways. So, you'll be able to see. So this is where her part starts. Her bangs come down this way. Her hair goes this way. And then she has these 2 little buns on the side of her head with these things falling down. Okay? I know that was a lot of info coming at you. Wow, I missed this bow. All right, there we go. All right, so the most important thing at all when you're doing hair, the very most important thing is to go with the flow of the hair. So I'm gonna start at her part, and I'm just gonna make some little flicking motion, hair strand motion things to go where her hair goes, okay? Now this part, her hair goes this way and this way, so we're gonna do this. But also, if you'll notice, her bangs are in front of this part. So this is actually gonna be a shadow because this will leave a shadow on that. The little hair bow is going to leave a shadow in her hair, so I'm just gonna outline that a little bit. And notice I still use a soft little brush motion when I do that, just because I don't want her hair to be super smooth, because it's hair, it should have lots of texture. The other cool thing about working hair is that unlike when you're working the skin, you don't have to work super fast because you don't necessarily want it to blend. You kind of want those hair strands to remain different. Okay, so I'm just adding some strands in where I think there would be shadows. Again, this bun is behind, so I'm adding some strands in here. Always going with the direction of the hair. Okay, so there's my shadows. Now I'm gonna go with E34, and I'm just basically gonna go over all of this same stuff, but extend it out a tiny bit more so that we're starting to cover in, or color in, where that I don't know, I didn't even finish my sentence. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. But we want to keep these little strokes as thin as possible using just the tip of the marker, because you want those hair strands to stay separated. You want them to look like they're individual strands of hair. Now this is where she's going to start looking more blonde because this has a yellow base to it. So this is YR12. You guys are being so quiet. Talk, converse. Now when I go in with my kind of yellowy colors, I go all the way back because I want to add a touch of this yellow all the way through her hair. I think, honestly, this is probably the second time I've ever colored a Gorjuss Girl. I think I've only ever colored one other one. Now I have my YR31. And I'm going all the way over the hair. Still using those short little strokes to keep those strands separated. All right. And then, like I said, I like to add a little bit of yellow. So I'm just going to go very sparsely with my Y13, otherwise it's going to look really yellow. And add a couple of strands here and there to make her more blonde. Now, as you see, I did kind of wash out the brown, so I do go back in with that E35 and kind of darken these strands up to add a little bit more dimension back. And this is why some people color dark to light, or I'm sorry, light to dark, because it does tend to wash out these little strands a bit with the darkest color. But I just find it's easier for me to go back in and add a couple of extra strands back into the shadow area. then I will take my E34 and do the same thing. Just a couple strands here and there. I'm not being nearly as careful as I was the first go around. Just adding some of that dimension back in. All right. So there's blonde. Yeah, the regular Gorjuss Girls are huge. They are really, really, really big stamps. I am with you on that. They are very, very, very large stamps. Okay, so now you'll see when we go in and do the no lines coloring, we're going to use the exact same method as we did with the lines, but you're going to actually get a little bit of a different result because you don't have those artist drawn lines. Or, well, your point is that you're covering those artist drawn lines. So I'm going to go into the same areas that I did before and add those little strands of hair, just like I did before. I'm going to add that shadow. I'm going to add strands behind the bow because the bow would leave a shadow where her buns are. Ha ha ha. Her Princess Leia buns. All the exact same places that I added shadows on the other one. And you see how my lines are not as fine? It's because my marker is getting ready to pool because I didn't have both caps off. All right. Yeah, it is crazy. They're huge. But yes, they are really, really, really cute. All right. So, same thing. Adding those little strands of hair. And again, the most important part I feel about hair is just making sure you go with the direction of the hair. And that's what's going to give you the most kind of bang for your buck, as it were. Because if you're not going with the direction of the hair, it's going to draw your eye. And it's going to like not make sense. So even if you can't get tiny strands of hair, because you're new and you're just trying to, you know, get used to your markers and stuff. So even if you can't get really tiny strands of hair because of marker control, that's fine. Just worry about trying to go with the direction of the hair. And you'll also notice that when I do hair, I hold my marker very straight up and I hold it a little bit further back from the nib. And that gives me control to just barely touch that nib to the paper. And that's what helps me to get those tiny strands of hair, is my nib is just barely brushing the edge or the paper. Just barely touching the paper as I color. I feel like hair always takes me the longest out of anything, but I think it's because I enjoy it the most that I like spend way more time on it. It's just, I don't know, it's fun for me. I admit my blonde blend is not the best. Amy, I need a better blonde blend. Now you'll see as it's taking shape here, kind of the difference in how you can show detail between the no lines coloring and the regular stamped with lines coloring. They gotta have gorgeous hair. Again, I'm gonna go back in with my E35 and darken up these shadows just a tad. Add some of these darker strands back in. I know I'm being all quiet, I'm concentrating. I hear my doggies barking. I feel like this is a necessary step though, to add some of that dimension back in that you kind of take out due to blending. E34. I hate every once in a while you take a pen stroke and you're like, oh, I should have not done that. I just saw a strand of hair that I did that I should have not done. But that's okay. All right, and I'm gonna jump into my YR31 and just kind of go over these bangs a little bit more. All right, so now you can see the difference between yeah, it looks very, very different from black line to no line, and I use the exact same colors and I use the exact same method. So I just wanted to do this kind of comparison for you guys so you could see, you know, no lines isn't really all that scary. It's the exact same method. It's just, you know, when you are trying to make those lines disappear, it, you know, kind of plays with your eyes a little bit more. So we use the same methods, we use the same colors, we did, you know, all of that stuff, but you have two very, very, very different results. So you guys totally play with this, and, you know, you learn so much by stamping them just like this side by side. And this is really what helped me with my no line coloring, is being able to color the black line one and then immediately translate it into no lines. And you'll see that you have the same, you know, the same techniques and the same scenarios, but it just comes out so different. So don't be afraid of no lines. Please try it. I would love, love, love to see what you guys are doing, what you're coloring. And yeah, that's great. So just so you know, we have a planner convention. I hate to say convention. That's not the right word, is it? A planner event retreat coming up in June that we have tickets on sale for now. And we will be teaching coloring classes at that event. So go into the shop, into 7kidscraftstore.com, and if you click on planners, there is a place that says Epic Planner Retreat or Epic Planner Event, and you can get your ticket to the event, and you could take a class live from me, and you know, not just Facebook Live, but actually in person live. Yay! So, thank you guys for joining me on your Sunday, spending Sunday afternoon with me. I'm gonna go reheat my coffee and take the puppies for a walk. And I will see you guys back here on Saturday at 10 a.m. This video will be posted on YouTube, so check out our YouTube channel. And I think that's everything. Thank you guys so much. We enjoy having you as part of our 7 Kids family, and I hope to see you guys next week. Toodles!